We've heard a lot of good advice from Dr. Lustig and from Susan, and you work with these folks every day who are just battling this issue. So what do you see as the biggest obstacle?
Well, Dr. Lustig did cover a lot of good points. I think the soft drinks and any calorie-laden beverages is a big part of, getting those out of the household so it's not tempting, and replacing it with water, essentially,
yes.
Non-calorie beverages. More fruits and vegetables. So that gets back to the garden and the grassroots, definitely increasing the consumption and having them on hand so that they're the things that the family sees first and foremost.
Registered dietitian Elizabeth Brown says chocolate's traditional link to love is partly chemical.
One is called phenylethylamine, and it's in chocolate, and they say it may increase heart rate and blood pressure, and that's kind of like the feeling you get when you're in love. You should have eaten within at least 3 or 4 hours before you exercise. So that is actually very critical, because if you're hungry, you're not going to have a good workout. You also need to eat after you exercise to refuel the muscles. And it's so simple. And now I chose, they use Boston Baby. It's a much more nutritious option as opposed to iceberg lettuce.
Okay.
But it's very similar, so people who aren't, into the dark greens yet,
right.
It's a good segue, introduction to those.
It definitely looks like the same texture.
In general, beans are a very inexpensive, excellent protein source, excellent fiber source, probably one of the best foods you can incorporate into your diet, to be honest. But my emphasis here is that, again, with Healthy You, we're trying to get people to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, right. And I really like to emphasize the antioxidant properties of particular fruits and vegetables that I think people need to include on a daily basis.
Brown says rather than eat strictly by the numbers, use them as a guide to plan more balanced meals.
Most people's diets really should be more fruit and vegetable based. We are starting to get away from pushing starches as the base of the diet, more as an addition to the fruits and vegetables, but along with some lean protein sources. With the meat, a serving size could be the size of the palm of a woman's hand.
We're also going to buy some shiitake mushrooms, great source of selenium. This is something that's very lacking in our diet, but works as a powerful antioxidant. Selenium helps to actually protect the vitamin E, so that the vitamin E can then work again to be a powerful antioxidant. So selenium and E go hand in hand, and this is a great source of that.
First of all, I chose pumpkin, obviously, for the season. This is the time for pumpkin.
It's coming
But
up.
I'm actually using canned pumpkin, which I opened upside down, but
okay.
Any canned pumpkin will do, and it's actually more nutritious than the regular pumpkin.
Really? How so?
Well, it's more concentrated, so obviously it's less work, for one thing, so
Okay.
you're going to be more likely to use it, but it's more concentrated in nutrients because a lot of the water has been taken out, so when you measure out a cup, you're getting a cup of pure pumpkin, lots of beta-carotene.
Whole grains. Yes, the whole grain, not the partial grains, not the processed grains. We're done with that. We're not down with that. We're down with whole grains. And what is a whole grain, you might ask? Well, there are so many, so here's a list. But basically it's rice, corn, triticale, amaranth, quinoa, millet, sorghum, buckwheat. Some of those I know you're like, what the heck is that? And I'm going to show you. Some portobellos, which a lot of people use to make sandwiches. Aren't they pretty though? Look at that.
Yeah, they really are.
I love that. They're actually one of the best sources of zinc. They're a great source of minerals like selenium, iron, the B vitamins, especially riboflavin and niacin, but they're one of the few sources of zinc that you get from a plant source.
You hear about people using applesauce as a replacement for like shortening, things like
You
that.
can
you
definitely, because it's moist. You can use any pureed fruit. In fact, you can take any type of dried fruit and rehydrate it, and then puree it, and then use that. I'm trying to introduce alternative ingredients that add more nutrition. So in maple sugar, we have a higher manganese content, which most of your sweeteners don't have much nutrition at all.
Oh, okay.
Manganese is essential for some of the antioxidant properties that go on in your body. We have a crudité with hummus, a arugula, blackberry, raspberry, goat cheese, pine nut, chocolate salad, and we have crab cakes. This is the Kitchen Vixen signing off. I hope you liked our meal meant for romance, a meal of aphrodisiacs.